So without further ado, I'd like to bring up Melissa Cohn. How are you, Melissa? You can hear me okay?
I can hear you well, thank you. Hi, Will.
Lovely to see you again.
Thank you.
Rightio. So just for your information, we've got a crowd here of around about 250 to 300 brokers, and they're very, very excited about hearing you speak today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Rightio. So to get started, just to start off, can you give us a little bit of information about how you got started? Give us a brief history of your career.
When I graduated from college, I actually got a job at Citibank and was going to go into the corporate training program and decided I wanted to deal with people and not just paper. So I ended up going into the retail banking program. The man I went to work for in the branch on the Upper East Side of Manhattan told me that mortgage banking would be the wave of profitability in the future, and so I listened. I then spent about 18 months at Citibank, and my last position there was where I was in charge of all the mortgages for the 10 branches on the Upper East Side of New York. I, as a banker, would go out and work with individuals that were buying. I was the mortgage expert for those 10 branches. And I'd also work with developers, people who were building buildings and selling them bulk commitments so that they would bring all of their buyers to me at Citibank. About 18 months after I started at Citibank, I was actually approached by a marketing and sales company that required all of their buyers to make application to them for the mortgages to know that they were real buyers and that they would be able to close. I then went to this marketing and sales company, and then I started their mortgage division for them. And we started out first doing mortgages just for the buyers in their buildings, and then I said, well, why not actually branch out and get business from real estate brokers? And why should we have this as a not-for-profit business? Why can't we make it a for-profit business and get the banks to pay us for sending the business to them because we were sending them good business that they wanted to close? So we then created this mortgage brokerage firm. I really believe one of the first of the way we do business today. And then I went out and I went to banks and got banks to actually deliver, money to us. Actually, the premium pricing became about, and also went and started pounding the pavement and going to real estate brokers. About 18 months into this business at this marketing and sales company, I was doing so much business, and they were paying me a commission that a percentage of the bank, what the banks were paying, that they decided that my commission was too great and they were going to take away my lousy $30,000 salary. So I decided that I didn't need their salary or their commission, and being young and foolhardy, I decided I was going to go out and do it for myself. So 23 years ago, I walked around New York City and found a little Swiss investment banking firm who agreed to sublease space to me and started the Manhattan Mortgage Company.
Fantastic. And what have you built? What is that company been built to now?
Want me to keep going?
Yep, sorry, yes.
Okay. So at any rate, I started the Manhattan Mortgage Company 23 years ago. I wrote my first mortgage on my dining room table and basically just kept doing what I had been doing at the last company, which was going out to the real estate community, going out to attorneys, going out to accountants, going out to friends, going out to corporations, and soliciting their business, in exchange for the promise that I would deliver better service and better rates than people would be able to get by going directly to their own bank. And it worked. I started the company 23 years ago. I had 1 employee at that time. I now have 14 offices. I'm licensed in 16 states, and I have about 160 people that work for me. In 2007, we originated about $4 billion worth of business. I do represent a large percentage of that, but I pride myself on the fact that we have many of the top brokers in the country that work for me at the Manhattan Mortgage Company. It's been a long haul. Growing a business is always challenging, and I'm sure for those of us that are in business today in today's trying economic credit crunch times, that we realize that it's all not that easy, that you really have to grow your business one loan at a time, one person at a time, and that you have to really keep focused on the market and the changes and everything that's going on in the economy and the marketplace, because what we knew and did 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago is totally different today. I mean, it's basically we're learning and things are changing on a daily basis.
Okay, fantastic. So the big question I think that's on everyone's lips is, I know that you've got a huge team and a massive infrastructure now, but you still yourself have your hands on the tools and are writing business. And in fact, you're not just writing business, but you're writing around about $1 billion of settlements per year personally. The big question on my lips is, how the hell do you do it?
One loan at a time. Basically, I'm a very efficient, organized person, and I'm also lucky to be in one of the most expensive real estate regions in the country and perhaps in the world. So, I do it one loan at a time. I have the advantage, first of all, that I write $9 million loans. I did a $23 million loan about a month and a half ago. So that definitely helps with the numbers. Also, I've been in the business for 25 years, so the fact that I have a book of business really helps me. And I'm very focused on my marketing, and I'm very focused on keeping myself and my company out in the public eye. I spend a lot of time on television doing news, helping reporters with articles and being quoted in the papers, getting myself onto the website, and really focused on making sure that we do the marketing that will bring the business in the door. And an interesting fact for me is that 60% of my own personal business comes from repeat referrals or past clients. So, as time goes on and I've been able to grow my book of business, that certainly helped me get to that $1 billion mark. I also work a lot. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is check my BlackBerry. I don't know that I ever really take a day off. And I'm really focused on being responsive and customer service and constantly growing, my network of referral sources and marketing sources so that I can continue to originate at the levels that I have.
Okay, so it sounds like, we were speaking last week, and you were telling me that your average loan size is around about $1 million per loan, which is an excellent loan size. I think there'd be a lot of people in this room who would be very happy to have that. Still though, that's 1,000 loans, at least a year that you're doing, which is, I did some maths last night, that's 3 a day. How many appointments are you having a day? How do you just see that number of people?
I actually don't see my clients. I would say I probably only physically meet with 2% of my clients. I do almost all of my business over the phone and with email. So I can speak to many people in one day, and some days I'll take in 5 new loans. Some days I'll take in 1. I just, really work hard to make sure that I actually, and thanks Will for doing the math, that I really try to bring in, 3 loans a day. I'd like to do 15, 20 loans a month. I do give some of the business that I do off to other brokers, so, my numbers are not necessarily totally reflective, believe it or not, of the business that I do. For example, in New York, we're very lucky because we have a lot of new development, a lot of new condominium buildings that are being built, and I can go to a developer and a building may have, a $200 million sellout, so that certainly gives me a good jump start in terms of my numbers. Okay,
so just with, I want to really drill down into your systems that you use. So how does it work? A client makes contact with you on the email, you'll have a chat with them on the phone or the email. What happens? What's the client experience from there? How do you leverage yourself?
The process with me with the new referral is if the client calls or emails me, I absolutely get on the telephone with them. My goal with every new referral phone call is to try to close the deal with that first phone call. And I also try to capture as much of the application information on that phone call so that I can get back to them if I don't close the sale and that I can facilitate the process. When I talk to the client, I try to get an understanding of what their financial needs are, how long they think they'll be in the property, do they expect to pay the mortgage off, where is their income going, And by getting information from them, as I'm talking on the phone with them, I actually start inputting the application into the computer. I always try to recommend to everyone that I talk to that let's take the application and let's get you pre-approved for your financing. But you try to really engage the client with you so that they don't want to continue to shop around. I will then take the application, assuming I've had a successful sales call, and then have my assistant will email the application package to the client, typically within the hour. So that client will not only have gotten an immediate response, have gotten a complete phone call, completed a mortgage application, but within about an hour, they'll actually have the email application package in their possession. And then I will then follow up with that client by either email or phone call. You sort of get a sense of, if they want to talk to you or if they'd rather email you. I'd much rather email. You can get many more emails done in a day than a phone call. And then we'll follow up with the client on a regular basis until the application package is returned. Once the application is in, then my assistant will put the file together. I'll look at it, make sure we're in good shape, and then I have a processor that will actually process the loan for me. And once the loan is approved, I will then get in touch with my client and tell them that they're approved, and then I actually have 2 closers that work with me who will actually help satisfy conditions and get my clients to closing.
Okay, fantastic. So the key thing I just picked up then was that once the client rings you up, you don't muck around. You're straight on to getting the application, closing them, getting the application in, and then your support team kicks into place, and it's an extremely quick process for the client. I think that's a really key learning. It's quite often you get an inquiry in and you leave it for a day or two. It goes stale and you lose the business to someone else. I can't see that being an issue for you.
Well, you can't allow that to happen today because frankly, in this marketplace, which is I hope the Australian marketplace is not as bad as the New York marketplace. But business is much slower at the moment. Interest rates have gone up, banks have tightened up, so every call you get, you want to keep. You don't want to let them go away. And I also think that another really important factor is that even though I have my processor or my assistant or my closer working with a client, I always make sure that they CC me on the email so that they know, my client knows that I'm part of this transaction. And oftentimes, even if I don't really have to do anything, I'll respond back just to make sure that everything is moving along so my client knows that I'm there. I'm definitely a no chit-chat person, and I do my best to quickly get to know my client, try to be as personal as I can, because you're dealing with their largest financial transaction and they're giving you a lot of personal information, so you really also have to be sure that you share your personal life a little bit back with them so that you can try and create a bond. And once you've created that bond with your client, then it's much easier to hold on to them.
Fantastic. What I think would be very, very valuable at this point, Melissa, and this might be interesting over the live feed, would be for us to do a role play on, let's say I'm a new client that's just been referred to you, and I'd like for you to handle and close me on the phone, if that's okay.
I'll go for it.
Rightio. So assuming I've got through to you, which I know can be a bit tough at sometimes. Melissa, it's Will Davies here. I've just been referred by my friend, what's a good American name? Marty?
Joe Smith.
Been referred by my friend Joe Smith, and I'd like to have a chat with you about a property I'm looking to buy.
Great. Where are you looking to buy?
I'm looking to buy in Lower Manhattan.
Okay, is it a co-op or a condo?
It's a co-op, whatever that is.
Okay. Oh, we have all kinds of weird property types in New York. At any rate, that's great. Have you found an apartment? Have you just started looking?
I'm sort of I'm trying to get my head around how much I can borrow at the moment. So I've had a bit of a general look, but I'm still looking.
Okay, well the best thing to do then, if you'd like, is we can take a few minutes and run through the basics of the application. I can actually get a better understanding of your financial condition, and we can talk about not only what you'll qualify for, but to see that it's within the parameters of what you want to do.
that sounds really good. So I guess at
So
that
let's
point,
go for it.
I feel very closed already.